Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us this morning. We're excited to have you for about an hour. My name is Karim Ludo. I'm Nucamp's CEO. And together with me is Ludo Fourage. Ludo is our Chief Learning Officer and our Chief Product Officer, actually, for Nucamp.
Hello, everyone.
So today we're not in the same room. We have the pleasure of living in a beautiful Washington State, so we're staying at home. But hopefully we'll have this going well, being in two different spots. Zoom's been under intense pressure, but so far our tests have been successful. So we look forward to spending about an hour, first 30 minutes of just introducing Nucamp, talking to you about what we do, explaining a little bit of the concept and what a typical bootcamp looks like. And then we'll move on to a Q&A. So we have about 30 minutes saved for your questions. I'm sure you have a lot of them. You can actually start to post your questions in the YouTube chat window on the right. So, don't wait until the end, start to log them in, and we'll go through them one by one. So with that, I'd like to get started with just a short intro of what Nucamp is all about. So Nucamp, we have a strong social mission, and our goal is really to help all aspiring career shifters across all the US and every community enter the digital economy. And we are the most affordable, but also the most local and flexible evening and weekends bootcamp out there. And so this is really, everything is thought from the ground up to serve our social mission. So a little more about us. Hey, Ludo, can you help me with the slides here? Right, here we go.
So, yeah, Karim, you need to look at Zoom, not YouTube.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get this right here. Beautiful. So the story behind Nucamp is really, us looking at what was available out there for aspiring coders, and recognizing that there were really only two options. The first option is to go and try to learn to code on your own online. There are a lot of online bootcamps out there. It's fairly straightforward. It's easy to access. It doesn't cost a lot. Sometimes it's even almost free. The challenge, though, is that it is really, really tough to learn to code on your own. You don't have a set schedule, so you have to discipline yourself. You don't have any support to help you. So it's really, really tough. And we see the completion rates being pretty low, between 3 to 5% maximum. At the other end of the spectrum are traditional bootcamps. Traditional bootcamps offer, full-time in-residence programs. And they're actually great if you have the time and the money to spend on them, because you're immersed, you're dedicated to the program, you're in a structured environment, you have dedicated instructors. However, they are very expensive. They're only available in big cities, and basically they require you to quit your job. So that's a really tough proposition for a lot of people out there. So looking at what was available out there, we built a completely new program, a new concept, a hybrid really concept, where you basically learn online during the week and meet in presence or via video conference on the weekend. And this hybrid format allows you to continue to work, whether you're working full-time or part-time, so you keep your revenue stream. It still provides the structure of the traditional programs, because you are on a set schedule. And more importantly, you have a structure to support you. You are part of a small group. You have your classmates with you, and those are small classes of only 12 students. And you have an instructor that's here to support you. But what really makes a huge difference is the price point. Our program is below $2,000. It's actually $1,765 for the full stack program under the early bird pricing, which is available right now. So a completely different approach that's lower risk, much more affordable, that is available in many more cities, and then allows you to continue to work while you learn to code and transition into your new career. All right, so we started in Washington State, where Ludo and I are still based. And over the last 2 years or so, we've already had over 1,500 students, launched 200 boot camps. And we currently have, it's no longer 150, it's actually closer to 200 instructors that work with us and help us deliver the classes across the US. And on any given Saturday, we basically today have about 80 classes that are being delivered in 25 cities and online as well. And what's really important is as we've continued to build the program and make it available across the US and grown, our student satisfaction has continued to be outstanding. I mean, we are at 4.7 on a course report, which is an independent website you can check out. We'll talk to you more about that, as well as on other independent website that review coding boot camps. All right, so these days it's a little different, right? World is changing, our reality is changing. If you are like us in a state that's being heavily impacted, you're probably working from home. But in some cases, it's actually a lot tougher. You probably are facing challenges at work. So we've adapted Nucamp to this new reality. We are now moving all of our classes to online for the next few weeks. So our current students that have started in person have been able to continue their classes fully online. And as we prepare going forward, we are ready to offer our classes online if need be. So we'll talk to you more about this, but the coming boot camps are still, you can register for an in-person boot camp in the city that we, in those cities where we serve in person. But rest assured that the classes will not be canceled. We will be in a position to move them online if for some reason we still need to do that. We actually have quite a bit of experience with online delivery. We have already 30% of our boot camps that have been delivered online over the last year or so. And the experience is very similar to our in-presence boot camps. It's the same experience during the week, studying at your own pace. And on the weekends, the only difference is really that you're in video conference instead of being in person. But the class sizes are the same. You have a dedicated instructor. You're actually grouped with students that are in your local community. And that way you can connect with them. So again, in those sort of particular times, we're adjusting. And we'll be able to either switch online or switch back to in person when the time is right. All right, so the boot camps themselves, we have three type of boot camps. We have a beginner boot camp, which is a 4-week program, which is really for people who want to learn a little bit more about coding, that have no prior experience, that are still wondering whether transitioning to this new career is for them or not. So in 4 weeks, you get a taste of what coding is like. More importantly, you are spending quite a bit of time working on software development and finding out if that's something that gets you excited, that you're having fun doing. And then from there, there are 2 advanced boot camps, the front-end web and mobile development boot camp, and then the full stack web and mobile development boot camp. They are 17 and 22 weeks, and those are really the 2 advanced boot camps that get you basically job ready. And so once you graduate, you're in a position to go to apply to junior web developer positions out there. All right, so the format of our boot camps is very straightforward. From Sunday to Friday during the week, you work on your own schedule. You work online, you go through video lectures, you have exercises to complete, you are working on your project portfolio, and Ludo will tell you a bit more about that. And you should expect to spend from 1 to 3 hours per day, depending on how comfortable you are, but also what classes you're in. Some of the classes are a little harder as we get into the advanced boot camps. But what's important is that you're never alone. You always have the support of your instructor throughout the week. If you're stuck, if you have a question, And you also have access to the community of students, because you will find that at Nucamp, there's a lot of interactions and helping each other. And then on Saturday is the workshop, and that's really a key piece of the structure, because it's where you recap all the learnings of the week, and the instructor will take you through all those learnings in a short lecture style section of the workshop. And then you work on your assignment. The Saturday assignment brings together all the learnings into, one sort of more comprehensive exercise. And again, you will do that with your classmates, with your instructor, from 9 to 1 p.m., either in person or these days, at least in video conference. And then once you complete this, you submit your assignment, you will get graded, and the new week opens up. So this rhythm ensures that you stay on track and you make progress from week to week. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where the workshops takes place. They take place in co-working spaces that we partner with. Usually we try to align with co-working spaces that have a similar social mission, that are deeply connected with their local community, in particular the software development community. So this is the example of Impact Hub in Seattle. So not only are they in the heart of the city, they're easy to get to, but it's a really nice environment. And in addition, you'll find a lot of the software development community being tied into the co-working space. So it's a great opportunity to start to network, start to basically think ahead, and create contacts as you start to look for your next job in software development. Now, again, these days we will be moving to online, so you won't be spending as much time if you're a current student. But again, every class that we schedule in an in-person city, we will have those co-working spaces ready. So if we have to start online, we will be moving back to them, as conditions allow us to do so. All right, so I've talked a little bit about the curriculum, about the program, the format, where it takes place. But at the end of the day, what really makes Nucamps special is our instructors. We have incredible instructors that have a few really defining characteristics. First, they're all active industry practitioners. So this means these are not teachers or people that have just spent their time teaching. They're actually working in the software development industry, which is really important because they can share, firsthand experience of how it's like in the real world, whether it's in a large company or working as an independent consultant. And then, they are actually teaching you with that sort of practical mindset, not necessarily with that academic approach. So everything you're going to learn in terms of how to code, best practices, is again going to be very hands-on, very geared to how this will actually happen when you're landing a job. The second thing is they're all super passionate about coding and excited to give back to their community. We compensate our instructors for sure, but again, aligned with our social mission, the compensation is not super high. I mean, it's basically fair, but the reason they join us is not for the money. It is because they want to give back. They're excited about doing something for just bringing more people to software development. A lot of them actually have gone through a coding bootcamp, and it's the reason why they want to now teach with us. So they do this on top of their often full-time job. They find the time to do this with us. So definitely, a group that's high energy and very passionate about what they do. And then they're local. So, if you're looking also to create a connection in your city, perhaps in a city where it's not as big a software development community, then that's great too, because you're going to start to have connections there. And a lot of our students tell us that beyond the curriculum itself and the classes, having a connection with instructors that are plugged in locally has been very valuable to get that first foot into the industry. And then finally, it's a very diverse pool that we have for instructors. So we have instructors that work for big companies, for Microsoft, for Amazon, others that work for startups or smaller companies, some that actually work as independent consultants. So they've started their own business in web development. And that's a great opportunity for you as a student to see the different opportunities out there, and what's different between them, and what would get you most excited. Typically, if you go through your full stack web and mobile development bootcamp, you will have 4 to 5 classes, and each class would be or could be with a different instructor, so you get a different perspective. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ludo to tell us a little bit more about what it means to be a web developer.
Hey, hello everyone. I want to start by apologizing. I may have a cough during this conversation. I've been sick for the last 2 weeks. It looks like bronchitis, but it could be anything, to be honest with you. I'm at the end of it though, so everything's fine for me. One of the other reasons why Karim is not in the same room as myself. So anyway, going back to really at the end of the day, why may you be considering joining a coding bootcamp, and Nucamp in particular? Well, it's probably to become a web developer. And so what we wanted to share with you here on that slide is we've selected to teach our students JavaScript because JavaScript is really still the #1 programming language that is requested out there. Python is coming as a close second, but Python is still very much getting traction because it's more and more taught in schools. But when you really look at the number of jobs out there in the market, JavaScript is still pretty much the #1. So at the end of the bootcamp, the full stack or front-end bootcamp, you will be qualified to start a career as a junior web developer. And if you look on our website, you'll see actually how much does a junior web developer make in your community. The average nationwide is around 17,000, and that comes from Indeed and ZipRecruiter. And so this is very much what you can expect. We'll talk about more how we help you get a job after the bootcamp, but rest assured that our curriculum and the topics we're teaching is going to really get you ready for that new career. So we've had a few questions. Actually, Joe, you were asking about the curriculum and the syllabus. I don't know that I will get into the level of detail that you're expecting here, but I'll try. So if you look at our 3 bootcamps, the ones that Karim highlighted earlier, they are very much made of a total of 5 modules at the end of the day. The first bootcamp, the introduction bootcamp, is 1 module that's teaching you the fundamentals of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And this is very much if you have no prior knowledge, we will really strongly encourage that you start there. We have a test available online that will help you decide if you need to take that beginner's bootcamp or if you can go straight to the front end of full stack. That test is a 25 questions test. And if you pass it with 85% good answers, then you're good to go. You can register directly to front end or full stack. Now, let me tell you about actually front end and full stack. They both start with Bootstrap. Bootstrap is what we call a library that has been developed on top of JavaScript by Twitter originally. And you can think of Bootstrap as the library that really allows you to build beautiful and responsive websites. Now, what do we say? I mean, what do we mean by responsive? Well, it's actually very easy to understand. Imagine that you're building a website with images, text, videos, and imagine that you can build it once in a way that will look great on a big screen, like imagine a 170-inch projector, and you're displaying your website like that, and then could actually reorganize itself dynamically and or in a responsive way when the size of the screen shrinks down. So from 170 each big cinema, home cinema TV screen to, let's say, a desktop, let's say 36-inch, to a laptop or tablet, maybe it's like 11 inches, to a phone, right? And so suddenly the elements on the screen are going to reorganize. And typically what happens is they start to stack themselves vertically, right? So it used to be horizontal, and then they stack themselves like magically. And that's what Bootstrap allows you to do. It's to build a beautiful website that really will look great on any type of screen size. Now, Bootstrap is great. It's a very good way to get started because it's very rewarding immediately. What it doesn't do is really allow you to do a lot of tricky or complicated, what we call the business logic, meaning it doesn't know how to handle data. Like if you try to build a catalog of products, if you try to build a shopping cart, if you try to build a login mechanism so that customers can log into your platform, well, Bootstrap is not going to help you much with that except displaying it beautifully. You're going to need React. And React is a very strong library built by Facebook this time. That's almost 4 years old now. And that's a 6-week module with us. And this is really where I would say the full strength of coding is going to come to you, in the way that you're going to be able to, let's say, create one product page that will be able to serve, I don't know, thousands of different products, right? Imagine Amazon.com, when you look at a product, and any product, the page always look the same. Well, they have one file, one page for that, that's just dynamically adapting to which product you want to display. And so that's very much what you're going to learn to do. The ratings, the comments. I mean, we're going to teach you how to do that in React. Sorry, there we go. I'll mute myself next time I cough. So you will have done Bootstrap, React, and then you're going to add React Native, which is a way for you to actually take everything you've learned and suddenly package that in a way that's going to show up as a mobile app on your phone. And as you know, a lot of transactions, a lot of monetization happens on the phone through apps. And so really, we're going to teach you how to take everything you've learned before, package it in a way that looks like a native app on your phone that you're going to be able to deploy on the Apple Store, on the Android, Google Play, and that's going to be very rewarding as well. Now, those 3 modules are going to really ultimately give you all the skills you will need to become a front-end web developer, meaning you will know how to build beautiful websites, you will know how to make them dynamic, and you will know how to implement what we call, business logic. To give you an example, our business logic is to allow students to register to bootcamps. You can think of any other business logic. So you'll know how to do that using React. And then you'll know how to take the whole thing and create an app with it. So those 3 skills are covering, I will say, 95 to 100% of what's needed out there when you think of what employers seek when they think about a junior web developer. So it's great. It gives you that foot in the door to have that kind of job. You will not know yet, though, until you take the last module, which will make you a full stack developer. You will still miss, in a way, how you actually implement the server side of the whole thing, right? Where do you store the data? Your products, where are you going to store them? Where are you going to store your user information? How are they going to really log in against Google or Facebook or Microsoft? And so that's very much what we will teach you in the full stack curriculum. It's that additional, what we call the backend, what we call the server side, what sometimes we call the cloud services, how you make the whole thing actually come to life end to end, from the user experience to the backend information with the database, which is for us MongoDB. The good news is you can upgrade from front end to full stack if you feel like actually you want to continue. And so that's very much our curriculum right now. State of the art, we've just actually recreated it from scratch, I will say. So it's pretty up to date and pretty I would say it's a top rated right now in the way that we've really created it. And I'll share more about the portfolio that comes along with it. Sorry, let me. So I've seen questions around the portfolio projects. So you work on a project, um, you actually work on a weekly project with us. So, and that weekly project, what we are very proud of is it's built onto one another every week. So it's not like we're throwing at you a tutorial that week, another tutorial that other week. And then at the end of the day, you will have maybe, I don't know, 20 tutorials, but nothing very much with depth. What we ask you to do is to build a project that will last the whole duration of the bootcamp and will build every week. You start with the learning project. So we actually, when we teach you how to do things, we actually, every student has that. It's a Nucamp campsite. So if you want to go camping, you build that. It's how you actually learn. And then you really mirror, I will say, your portfolio project with what you just learned that week. So you're going to start that with with Bootstrap. And then when comes React, we're going to ask you to really redevelop your website, now injecting elements of React into it. When comes the time for React Native, some students actually decide to continue on with React. They want to go deeper. Some students decide to then turn their website into a mobile app. And then, of course, if you're doing full stack, you'll be adding to your portfolio the backend side. So it's 2 to 3 portfolio projects, but each very much weekly individual projects as well. We recommend that you do that in groups, and we actually help you to do that. But you can also decide to do that solo if you want to. Now, the bootcamp schedule, if you go to our website, you'll see that schedule for your community. I'll just mention briefly one thing that will be of interest to you is if you look at your community and you see remote workshop, that means those bootcamps are online during the week and via video conference on Saturdays already. So you should know that. If you don't see that badge remote workshop, that means that the bootcamp in your community are online during the week and in person on Saturdays. Now, of course, as Karim just mentioned today, when we are closely monitoring the situation, and even though it may show as in person, we may actually be required to transition them to online. So be aware of that. Um, Now, the deadline for the early bird is March 23rd for the front-end and full-stack bootcamp. It will be 1 week later for web development fundamentals. That means that if you register before that date, you'll be able to save $300+. And after that date, the full-stack bootcamp, for example, goes up to around $2,000. So make sure if you're interested to register, make sure to do that before this coming Monday. Karim, do you want to cover that slide real briefly, and then we'll actually go to a video?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're evaluating different coding bootcamps, you probably want to go and check out what independent sites say about Nucamp. Encourage you to check out Course Report. There's another website called Switch Up as well, and you'll see that we have really great reviews out there. Our average score is over 4.7, and we now have 250 reviews. You can actually read some of the reviews. They'll give you insight as well onto the program. And basically what some of the reviews will tell you is, that students have found our bootcamps to be really super convenient in terms of location, in terms of just the flexibility of the program during the week. But there's also a lot of good things about our instructors, as I mentioned earlier. They're key to the program, and we spend quite a bit of time just making sure we select the right instructors, and we create that vibrant instructor community that makes it a great experience for our students. So with that, maybe Ludo, you want to play this short video. This is Geneva. She was one of our students up in Marysville in Washington State, and we love to hear what she has to say about Nucamp.
I wanted to look at a career opportunity that would be lucrative, and Nucamp kind of popped up, and I liked it a lot more than the other ones. I liked that it was more flexible. I didn't have to like quit my current job.
They're basically very student-friendly.
And our instructor is awesome, Myrna, and she's just really helpful, like really like above and beyond.
She's very helpful, and every time when I have a question, I can ask her and she can respond. The careers basically has no end. You can grow and grow.
I was really excited. Yeah, in fact, I mean, if anything, I was like wanting to do more.
But I really like the way it's been this hybrid learning process.
I love that. I love that it's during the week, because I wouldn't have been able to do it if I had to meet every single day. So I love that I can find childcare on Saturdays, and the rest of the week it's online. But yeah, sometimes I'm like doing my homework and I get all excited. I'm like, this could be my life. So it's kind of cool.
All right, and we're back.
All right, so in addition to learning more about our student experiences during the bootcamp, which by the way you can definitely check out on our YouTube channel, encourage you as well to just hear more about what students have gone on to do after the bootcamp. So you have a link here to basically our alumni group and some of the students that have graduated and moved on to new roles. I won't go through all of them, but I love the story of Aaron. Aaron was actually one of our first students. He worked through the full stack program, then continued to do a little bit of just independent work, and then got into a company locally here in Washington, in Tacoma, as a software quality assurance engineer. So he went from being a long haul commercial truck driver to being a software developer. And actually he's a great example too, because as it turns out, he wanted to give back to his community, and has actually become an instructor, and is now with Nucamp teaching and also helping us just grow the business. And so you have more of those stories. Check him out on our LinkedIn alumni link.
All right, well,
All right.
that means, Karim, we're ready for Q&A. There's been a ton of questions, and if you want to actually maybe get started, and we'll cover them all.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Actually, I'm really excited to see the questions, but all the interaction here. We've got people jumping in. I see Joe pretty active, so we'll go through all of them. Let's start with how many projects in the full stack bootcamp. I think Ludo covered this briefly. Basically two to three main projects. Ludo, is that right?
Yeah, it's so it's a learning project first that will follow you throughout the duration, and then it's going to be one project a week, and 2 to 3 overall projects that you're going to build that are going to build up every week.
All right, and then so Python, we don't cover Python today. This is something we've been thinking about, but as Ludo mentioned, our main focus is to try to get you ready for the job market. And so today we're really focusing on the stacks that are most seeked out there. So we don't teach Python right now, and then we moved off of Angular. I'm getting ahead of questions that are coming later. We used to teach Angular, but now we're really focused on the Myrna stack.
Correct.
All right. So if you are interested in being an instructor, if you're on this call and you're just to learn more, that's awesome. Shoot me an email. You can go ahead at Karim, Karim, as in Michael, at nucamp.co, or simply use the info@nucamp.co. I'll read those pretty much as well. And we'll have you connected with our HR. And then moving down, so syllabus, I think the one we sent out is actually pretty detailed, so we'll make sure to resend that out. And again, that's an easy email at info@nucamp.co, and you can get the full syllabus. It's actually quite detailed in terms of going through the advanced boot camps. So I know there's a little bit of sort of questions around online, in presence. So I just want to restate again. We offer in-presence boot camps or hybrid boot camps, online during the week, in person during the weekend, in currently 25 cities across the U.S. And then in smaller cities, or if we in a place where we don't serve specifically the city, then we offer our bootcamp in video conference. Now, if you're in a big city, you can still go and register in video conference if that's your preference. Obviously, we have some dedicated online boot camps that are available anywhere. So that's our normal way of operating. And again, these days, just because of the situation, for the next 2 weeks for now, we have decided to move to fully online, but we are definitely ready to continue to deliver our in-person workshops beyond that. And again, we'll reevaluate based on what the situation dictates.
Hey, so there is a question about the actual experience when you learn online during the week. So we are using, I'll talk briefly about that. We are using a university type of learning management system. So in terms of the richness of the platform, I will say it's super rich. The actual experience is a mix of online lectures that we've produced, but it also has a ton of hands-on. So I'll give you a few examples. You will be asked, of course, to actually create your own code in Visual Studio Code, push the code to GitHub. We have also exercises that can take place in an online environment. One is called CodePen. That's really for practice and sharing with others. We have assignments that are graded. So every week on Saturdays, when you work on the end of week exercise, that's something that then is graded by your instructor. So you have really, I think, all the learning techniques and all the pedagogy that you would expect in a really top-rated type of experience.
Yeah, what I'd like to add to that is we started off using some open source curriculum a few years back, but we have now moved to develop our own curriculum from the ground up. So, we've learned from that initial phase, and we have an even stronger curriculum today. And what's exciting is that it's being improved, augmented almost on a weekly basis. And that's really thanks to our instructor community. As I mentioned earlier, they're really passionate, and so they're actually volunteering to, create more content, fine tune it, help us where they think a part of the curriculum could be improved. So it's a constantly evolving and improving curriculum, and we're getting really great feedback from the current program. So question from Femi on, having no prior knowledge of coding, and still looking for that career change. So where to start? And so definitely I would encourage you to start with the Web Fundamentals Bootcamp. Again, it's 4 weeks. It's very affordable, and it's designed for people who have absolutely no past experience. Actually, if you have some experience in coding, I wouldn't necessarily recommend going through this. And you have a test to determine whether you should do it or not. But the pace is such that anyone can really go through it if you put the right amount of effort during the week. And I want to stress the fact that that's really important. You got to put in the effort. This is a part-time program, so it's not just on Saturdays. You've got to be working during the day to go through it.
And I just pasted the link to the test. So it's a 25 questions test. It should take like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. If your score is higher than 85%, that means you do not need to take the beginners bootcamp. If it's lower, that means you need to take the bootcamp or actually learn the knowledge any other way. But yeah, the 4 weeks bootcamp will give you that level of knowledge.
All right.
Yeah, I see a question. Are we in Orange County, California? Yes, actually, we are opening there. We're actually opening in multiple cities in California, including Irvine in Orange County. Now, of course, with all the caveats that we've given earlier.
Yeah, so Joe, you are correct. We're moving our classes currently to be online, but once again, ready to move back to in-person wherever we have in-person presence today. And then question from Zandra. You want to take that one, Ludo?
Yes.
So basically, yeah.
Does the web development fundamental module get you fully ready for the full stack and front-end module? Yes, it does. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easier. It's going to be as challenging, but you will have a good understanding of what is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript. I always recommend that student try to go as much as possible, I would say, above and beyond. So if you've really never done coding before, and you're just going to take that 4 weeks, I would say, well, take as many online tutorial as you can before as well, right? What you should know as an aspiring web developer is that you're never done learning. It's not like you can read a manual, to learn how to drive, and then you always know how to drive. The job of being a web developer is to continuously learn, and you'll very quickly realize that there's more that you need to learn than you actually know. So don't limit yourself to just 4 weeks and think that, okay, I'm fully ready. Chances are nobody's going to be fully ready for anything in the web development world. It's just about how much you know you don't know, and how much you're willing to learn. So it's very much a mentality and behavior type of thing.
All right, and Carrie's asking, how do I know where the local workshop location will be, once the course becomes in person, assuming we don't start in person the next session? Well, actually, if you register on the website, you will see the workshop location, the address, some pictures. So, if say you're in, I don't know, Philadelphia, if you go to the Philadelphia page, you'll get all those details. And then, of course, once you're registered, you get emails that give you all the logistical details and make sure you're aware of everything. And you have a personal student profile on the website once you register that keeps all your information, whether it's your basic invoicing information, the classes you're taking, the exact schedule, etc. So we try to make it easy for you to know where you're supposed to go and where you're at. All right, so
yeah, I'm scrolling.
Austin.
Oh, go ahead. I'll take it.
Yeah, so Austin just graduated from Coding Bootcamp and applied to be a lead instructor in Huntsville or Atlanta. So again, encourage you to connect with our HR for those questions. But in a nutshell, for instructors, we're looking for the right level of technical depth, obviously, as you instruct, and then we're looking at sort of the soft skills, the passion to give back, the energy. Because again, it's a challenging course for students, and it's all about just helping them, caring for them, and making sure that you support them through their journey. But more with HR there. I know there are a few aspiring instructors on the call today.
Hey, so I'll take this opportunity to explain the acronyms that have been used here. So MERN versus MEAN. So we used to teach MEAN, and MEAN stands for MongoDB, Express, Angular, Node. That's the MEAN stack, and both, by the way, are really based on JavaScript. The MERN stack that we teach now is MongoDB, Express, React, Node. So that's kind of the explanation of the acronyms. And I've seen someone mentioning that really the MERN stack is the one that has the most popularity right now, which is really why we switched. I'll also address Matthew Rovrick. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Question around, is it completely up to the students to pitch ideas for websites and platforms? So the answer is no. At the very beginning of Bootstrap, when we actually get you started on your project idea, we actually seed a few options that you could be considering. And we do that because we've heard feedback that sometimes students will take an idea that will be way too challenging to beginning with, and we really struggle to actually make progress because of the level of complexity of that idea. And so we seed you with ideas that we know are going to be able to grow in complexity as you grow your knowledge.
All right, and so I see a few comments here on the fact that we're significantly more affordable. We don't like to see cheaper, cheaper. We're not cheap. We don't want to be cheap. We actually think our curriculum and our experience is high quality, but we're definitely more affordable than other boot camps out there. And I thought I'd mention, because I don't think I did earlier, that for our advanced boot camps, it's actually a default payment plan. So you don't even have to pocket out the $1,765 upfront. You actually pay, I think, about $350 or so upfront. Then it's going to be a monthly plan at the start of the bootcamp itself. So we really try to make it as easy as possible, for people to, pocket out what's needed to go through the bootcamp. The other thing I'll mention is we have a pretty fair cancellation policy, and I want to make that clear as well. So, if you register, by the way, and cancel before the bootcamp starts, that's 100% refund. So, no questions asked. And then once the bootcamp starts, there's a incremental sort of portion that's being retained. But basically, if you quit after the first month or so, you'll still be refunded a significant part of your tuition. Again, the goal here is to try to make things easy and accessible to as many people as possible, because we do realize that for a lot of our students that join, they still have that full-time job on the side or a lot of other commitments. And then sometimes, life happens, right? They get bad things or good things. Sometimes, unfortunately, there's, I don't know, a death in the family or, unforeseen circumstances. And so we want to be fair to them. Sometimes it's actually good things. They get a promotion, they are too busy, they don't have time to commit to the program. So again, here our commitment is to try to work with you in your journey.
Hey, I'm going to take Joe, your question around, or maybe your statement that you're going to register for the 4 weeks web development fundamental course because you want to get a better understanding of JavaScript. Let me give you actually a heads up, because we've seen that happen with people who already have a good knowledge of web development and want to really join the 4 weeks bootcamp because of the JavaScript portion. So the JavaScript portion is going to be the last 2 weeks of the bootcamp. And the first 2 weeks, we are teaching HTML and CSS. And so for people in your situation, what we've seen happening is you're going to go pretty fast. And it's going to be pretty easy for you the first 2 weeks. And we have supplemental material when that happens. But you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I know that stuff. The first 2 weeks is going to be easy. So I'll just say, just bear with your classmates, help them if you can. And then the last 2 weeks is when you're going to really be confronted with JavaScript, and we're going to go actually pretty deep. And so you'll find the right level of challenge there. But just a heads up that don't judge the 4 weeks bootcamp on the first 2 weeks because it's going to be easy for you. Wait until the last two to really feel the challenge, I will say.
All right. So we have sort of more questions on, hey, can we bypass the beginner course? Absolutely. You decide where you register. That's another thing that's specific about Nucamp. We don't have any admissions. We feel that it's your responsibility, to choose the course. And conversely, we don't want to keep anybody out, and we want to give everyone the opportunity to go through the course. So you're welcome to register to the advanced course right away if you feel you're ready, and the test helps you decide, but it's really up to you.
Do you want to take Quatsi's question on assistance program as well, Karim?
Yes, help me out with the question here.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So Kwasi is asking, do you have an assistance program for job placement after the course is complete?
Yeah, so we do offer, some sort of career support help. We have an online course that's a 6-week course that really takes you through the fundamentals of building your resume, your LinkedIn, how to network, working on your interviewing skills. And that's an online course. It's actually part of the tuition, so it's free basically in the class itself. The other thing I will say is that we, rely on the networking within Nucamp as well quite a bit. So obviously networking locally with other students that are themselves graduating, but also networking with instructors that are plugged in the local community. And then, finally, I think one point I'd like to make is that at the end of the day, your best chances of getting a job is how much effort you put in your project portfolio and the skills you develop. This is not an interview style that's a sales interview style. Well, it's all about soft skills and how you sell yourself. This is sort of more data oriented, very sort of fact-based oriented interviewing where you've got to demonstrate your skills. Sometimes you'll have technical tests basically that you pass or fail, and then it's being able to showcase your work. So if you have a strong project portfolio, you're comfortable with your skills, you're definitely in a good shape to land a job. Again, having done the basics of building your resume and knowing the basics of how to network. There's definitely an element of soft skills because at the end of the day, you will be working as a team as a software developer. Always remember that. Software development is unless you're really an independent consultant, it's going to be working with others. So there's an element of that. But I mean, the big piece of it is the skills you develop. And that's what we really focus on.
Great. Hey, Robert, you ask if you can switch to full stack after front end, and the answer is yes. You can do that actually anytime during your front end bootcamp, and you will just have to pay the difference. Rebecca, you're asking about the 4 weeks East Coast class where you registered, and if you can move it to Philly at a later date. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. We recommend that you do that in between modules as much as possible so that you don't really change your classmates during a module, but you can certainly do that. There's another question, AHAP mode 36. Do you have access to the bootcamp after you're done? Actually, we're very proud of that. You have lifetime access to the learning environment as well as the community. So anytime we make updates to our content, you actually can access that content for free.
All right, so more questions about meeting the instructor locally. So again, that's we're not able to offer a meeting in person before the workshop, but you will know who the instructor is. You will see the workshop location. You're more than welcome to go visit it because those are usually co-working spaces. So 10 to 11 hours of daily coding to be successful? No, I mean, if you do and you can spend 10 to 11 hours daily, that's awesome. But our program is designed for you to be spending 2 to 3 hours a day. I think for the earlier courses, HTML, maybe Bootstrap, if you're a little gifted, you might be able to get away with a little less. But you should definitely plan to spend 2 to 3 hours to fully absorb all of the material and be ready. So we talked a bit about job placement assistance. Let's see, where should we go?
Yeah.
Oh, success rate. So I'm gonna tackle this one from Sean real quick. So, and I'm assuming this is both graduation and job placement. And I want to be fully transparent here. Our graduation ratio is a little different from other boot camps simply because it is a part-time program and that people have other conflicting things happening in their lives. So it's actually somewhere around 70%, which is, we think, quite high, if you compare it to other online programs. And it's definitely a little lower than perhaps some of the traditional full-time coding boot camps, just because if you're there full-time and fully immersed, there's nothing else for you to do but to go through the program and graduate. But we really do our best effort to try to keep you connected. So if, for example, you're falling behind and you're not going to be able to catch up on a module, you have the opportunity to retake that module entirely for only $99. So you can redo it just after, or even 2 months later if you need more time. So we try to adjust to help you get through the program. And then our job placement is a little different too, just because a lot of our students are actually employed full-time or have a job. So they take longer to transition. So we definitely have a lot of great examples, but today it's very hard for us to actually track the transition, because a lot of students tell us, I haven't transitioned yet because, you know, I'm still working on my skills, my portfolio, and I'm going to do that in the next year or so.
Robert has a question, and by the way, it's great to see the community coming together and actually answering one another questions. But Robert is asking if you are not available from 9 to 1 on Saturdays, is there another time that is available to meet? And the answer is actually, unfortunately, no. We have that opportunity on Saturdays from 9 to 1 for every student to come together with their instructor, and really I would say that's the epic moment, I would say, of your week, to be able to make that level of connection. We picked 9 to 1 on Saturdays after trying several other time slots on Fridays, on Sundays. That's the one that works the most of the time for most people. Obviously, it's not always the case for everyone out there. So I would say you will really want to make sure that you are available during that time, unfortunately. If you're not, you will be missing a big piece of the value that we deliver.
Yeah, actually, there's a little trick though, is depending on your time zone, you can switch around just a little bit, because we offer 9 to 1 in 3 different time zones: Eastern, Central, or Pacific. So you can maybe tweak things a little bit, but you know, not that much. So we're getting to the top of the hour. Maybe just a quick few other ones that I've seen. You know, can somebody literally no prior coding experience succeed if they're willing to put in the work? I want to say yes, absolutely. You know, go through the web fundamentals and see if you really like it, because what you don't know yet is whether you're going to like it. That's the most important piece. So you're going to be spending a lot of time on it. You know, if it's you know, if it's boring you and you're just doing it because you have to do it, it's not going to work. So you better try and find out. And then question around, you know, will there be exposure on how to work in Git and GitHub? Yes, absolutely. That is definitely covered. I was missing the last one. Oh yeah, questions about UI UX. I think this is one that comes up. Ludo, you want to take it?
Yeah. So it will help someone who already has good design skills to land a job that also asks for developer skills. But we do not teach concepts of UI UX that much. I mean, you will obviously design websites and pages, but the bootcamp is really not tailored to teaching how to create the best websites for users. So I will say, if you already are a UX or UI designer, but you're missing that technical level that some employers ask, the front-end bootcamp will certainly help you there. There was another question. Yeah, just quickly, someone is asking is full stack includes front-end? Yes, it does indeed. So if you do full stack, you will be doing front-end as well. And actually, you'll have an opportunity to graduate also for front-end as well as full stack.
All right, so we're getting to the top of the hour, and we want to respect your time. We really appreciate you taking time to join us for this full hour. A lot of great questions, a lot of energy. We are definitely looking forward to seeing many of you join one of our upcoming boot camps. I want to remind you, don't miss the early bird you know, deadline. Every time we have students you know, coming to us on the Monday or Tuesday, say, hey, I missed the deadline, what can I do? And we can't do much, unfortunately, because all our systems are automated just to be more affordable precisely. So don't miss the deadline, and understand that we are pretty flexible. So, you know, things happen down the road in your personal lives. You know, our policies allow you to adjust quite easily, and again, quite affordably. So thanks again. You know, stay safe. All right.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy, and look forward to seeing many of you in our boot camps shortly.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.